help me reach 1,000 subscribers. Please like the video and share your thoughts on the video. Your feedback helps make the contents better. Now let's get to the story. The wedding reception was in full swing when I got the call. I was halfway through a pint of Guinness at a pub in Dublin, watching rain streak down the window when my phone lit up with her name. Sarah, my ex-wife, the woman who'd been married to someone else for exactly 4 hours. I let it ring. Then she called again, and again. On the 4th attempt, curiosity got the better of me. Or maybe it was the Guinness. "What?" I answered. The sound that came through the phone was somewhere between a sob and a scream. In the background, I could hear chaos, voices shouting, glass breaking, someone crying. "You need to fix this," she choked out. I took another sip of my beer and smiled. "Fix what, exactly?" "You know what you did." The thing is, I genuinely didn't. Not yet, anyway. But whatever was happening at her wedding reception, to Marcus, her former coworker turned lover turned husband, sounded absolutely spectacular. My name is Daniel Foster. I'm 34 years old, and up until 8 months ago, I thought I had a pretty decent life. I was a software engineer at a mid-sized tech company in Portland, Oregon, made good money, had a nice house in the suburbs, been married to Sarah for 6 years. We'd met in college, dated for 3 years before tying the knot, and for a while there I actually believed in the whole happily ever after thing. Turns out I was the only one who believed in it. I found out about the affair the way most people do these days, through technology. Ironic, considering it's my field. Sarah had synced her messages to our iPad, and one Saturday morning while she was at yoga class, I was trying to look up a recipe when a notification popped up. Marcus, last night was incredible. Can't stop thinking about you. That was it. That was the moment my marriage died. Though technically it had been dead for a while. I just hadn't been invited to the funeral. I didn't confront her immediately. I'm a planner by nature. Instead, I spent the next 2 weeks gathering evidence. Screenshots, bank statements showing hotel charges on nights she claimed to be with her sister, credit card receipts from restaurants we'd never been to together. I even hired a private investigator, which felt dramatic and cliché, but the photos he got were crystal clear. Sarah and Marcus holding hands in Pioneer Square, kissing outside his apartment, checking into a hotel in Seattle for a weekend when she had told me she was at a conference. The conference part was particularly insulting. I'd encouraged her to go, told her it would be good for her career in marketing, even helped her practice her presentation. There was no presentation, just Marcus and a king-size bed. When I finally did confront her, she cried. That's what cheaters do, isn't it? They get caught and suddenly they're the victim. She told me it just happened. That's another classic. As if she'd tripped and accidentally landed on his dick repeatedly over the course of 8 months. She said she loved him, that she hadn't meant to hurt me, that she wanted a divorce so she could be honest and live her truth. I gave her the divorce. Hell, I expedited it, hired the best attorney I could afford, and pushed everything through as quickly as possible. Oregon's a no-fault divorce state, but my lawyer made sure I got what I deserved. Sarah had wanted to keep the house I'd put the down payment on, the house I'd spent weekends renovating, the house where apparently she'd been texting Marcus while I was in the garage building her the custom bookshelf she'd asked for. She didn't get the house. She got half the equity, which was fair, but I kept the property. She also didn't get alimony, despite asking for it, because she made nearly as much as I did, and the marriage had been under 10 years. The divorce was final 3 months ago. By that point, I'd already accepted a job offer with a tech company in Dublin. Remote work had become standard in my industry, and I'd been wanting an excuse to live abroad for years. The timing seemed perfect. Get out of Portland, get out of the country, get away from the wreckage of my failed marriage, and start over. I moved to Ireland 6 weeks ago,
got a small apartment in the city center, started my new job, began exploring pubs and museums, and everything I'd only seen in movies before. It was good. Healing, even. And then Sarah's wedding invitation arrived. It was forwarded from my old address. Cream-colored cardstock with gold lettering. Sarah Mitchell and Marcus Webb request the honor of your presence. Mitchell. She was taking his name. She'd kept mine during our entire marriage because she said hyphenating was too complicated and her professional contacts knew her as Sarah Foster. But for Marcus, she was becoming Sarah Mitchell without hesitation. I threw the invitation away without RSVPing, blocked her number, blocked Marcus's number, and blocked her family and mutual friends who I assumed would be attending. I wanted nothing to do with it. So imagine my surprise when, the day after their wedding, I'm sitting in that Dublin pub and she's calling me from her reception screaming about how I need to fix something I didn't even know about. "Sarah, I'm in Ireland," I said calmly. "I haven't talked to you in weeks. I didn't even know your wedding was today." "Liar!" she shrieked. "How did he know? How did that man know everything?" "What man? Know what?" But she'd hung up. I sat there staring at my phone, genuinely confused. Then a text came through from a number I didn't recognize.
Thought you'd want to know. Wedding was a disaster. Check Facebook. I didn't have Facebook anymore. Deleted it right after the divorce. But I had Instagram, and I knew Sarah's account was public because she loved showing off her perfect life online. I pulled it up. Her most recent post was from that morning. Her in a white dress, Marcus in a gray tuxedo, both of them looking insufferably happy. The caption read, "Marrying my soulmate today. When you know, you know. Heart." The comments section, however, was a war zone. "Congrats on marrying someone else's husband. How's the homewrecker feeling today? Did you tell Marcus about the other guy, or is that a surprise for the honeymoon?" I scrolled further. Someone had posted a video in the comments. I clicked it. The video was shaky, clearly shot on someone's phone at the reception. The audio was chaos, but I could make out Sarah's voice, high-pitched and panicked. Then the camera found the source of the drama. An older man, maybe in his 60s, well-dressed in a suit, was standing at what looked like the gift table. He was holding a microphone, not the official DJ's microphone. Apparently he'd brought his own. "I just want to congratulate the happy couple," he was saying, his voice dripping with sarcasm I could appreciate even through the phone. "Sarah and Marcus, a love story for the ages. They met at work, bonded over their mutual disrespect for commitment, and decided to build their future on the ruins of Sarah's previous marriage." There were gasps. Someone in the background shouted for him to stop. He didn't stop. But here's the thing about building on ruins. The foundation's already cracked. And Sarah, sweetheart, I'm afraid your foundation has more cracks than you realize. That's when he pulled out a folder. "You see, I'm a retired private investigator. Old habits die hard. When my grandson told me he was invited to this wedding, I got curious, started digging, and what I found was fascinating." He opened the folder, pulling out what looked like photographs. "These are from last month, 3 weeks before today's ceremony. That's Sarah, our beautiful bride, having dinner with a gentleman named Craig. They met on a dating app, had 3 dates according to the messages I was able to recover. And this photo here? Well, that's from their hotel room in Bend." The video got shakier. People were moving. I could hear Sarah screaming, "That's not true! He's lying!" But the man wasn't done. "And Marcus, buddy, I've got news for you, too. Your blushing bride wasn't just exploring her options with Craig. There was also someone named David and Tyler, all while she was engaged to you, all while she was posting those cute couple photos on Instagram about finding her soulmate."
The video ended there, cut off mid-chaos. I sat back in my chair, my beer forgotten. I didn't send that man. I didn't know that man. I had no idea Sarah had been cheating on Marcus the same way she'd cheated on me. But, damn if it wasn't poetic justice. My phone rang again. Sarah. This time I answered with a smile in my voice. So, how's married life? You sent him. You hired him to ruin my wedding. Sarah, I genuinely have no idea who that man is. I'm literally in another country. I didn't even know when your wedding was happening. Bullshit. This has your fingerprints all over it. I laughed. Actually laughed. My fingerprints? Sarah, you did this to yourself. You cheated on me, left me for Marcus, and apparently couldn't even stay faithful to him before the wedding. This isn't revenge. This is consequences. Everyone left. Half the guests walked out. Marcus's parents are threatening to get the marriage annulled. His mother called me a whore in front of everyone. That's unfortunate, I said, not meaning it at all. My parents won't even look at me. My sister said I'm an embarrassment to the family. Marcus is upstairs in the hotel room and won't come out. The wedding planner is threatening to sue us because we didn't pay her final bill, and now she says we breached contract by creating a hostile environment. Each sentence was music to my ears. Daniel, please, you have to tell people this was a setup, that those photos were fake, that the man was lying. Were they fake? Sarah? Were the photos fake? It didn't mean anything. Craig was just, we were just, let me guess. It just happened? Don't be an asshole. That made me laugh harder. Me? I'm the asshole? I'm not the one who cheated on my spouse? Multiple spouses, apparently. You made your choices, Sarah. You wanted to live your truth. Well, congratulations. Everyone knows your truth now. She was crying harder now. I can't believe you're being so cruel. I'm not being cruel. I'm being honest. There's a difference. You seem to struggle with that concept. I loved you, she whispered. Now, you didn't. You loved the security I provided while you figured out what you actually wanted. And when you thought you found it with Marcus, you blew up our marriage without a second thought. And then you did the same thing to him. You're not a victim, Sarah. You're a pattern. I hope you're happy, she spat, her sadness shifting to anger. I hope you're all alone over there in Ireland with no one to love you. Actually, I am pretty happy. I've got a great job, a nice apartment, and I'm dating someone. Her name is Aoife. She's a teacher. We met at a bookstore. She's funny and kind, and best of all, she's not you. That last part was a lie. I wasn't dating anyone. But Sarah didn't need to know that. She hung up without another word. I ordered another Guinness and pulled up Instagram again. The comments on Sarah's wedding post had multiplied. People were sharing the video of the old man's speech. Someone had created a hashtag. Hashtag Sarah the Serial. I should have felt guilty. Part of me expected to feel guilty. But I didn't. Not even a little bit. The next morning, I woke up to an email from an unfamiliar address. The subject line read, "You're welcome." I opened it. Mr. Foster, you don't know me, but I know you. Or rather, I know your story. My name is Richard Chen, and I'm the retired private investigator from the wedding video that's currently making the rounds online. My grandson, Jeremy, worked with you at your old company in Portland. You helped him debug a project once, stayed late to make sure he understood the code. He said you were one of the good guys. When he got invited to Sarah's wedding and mentioned who the bride was, I remembered your case. My former colleague had been the PI you hired during your divorce. Small world. I had retired by then, but I still keep my ear to the ground. Anyway, Jeremy mentioned he felt bad going to the wedding knowing what Sarah had done to you. I told him not to worry about it. I'd handle it. Consider what happened at that reception, my wedding gift to you, free of charge. The investigation into Sarah's current activities only took me about 2 weeks. She wasn't very careful. Dating apps leave digital trails. Hotel key cards get logged. Text messages live forever, even when you think you've deleted them. I gathered everything, waited for the wedding day, and made my entrance. I even brought my own microphone. Prepared, just like you taught Jeremy to be with his code. I hope you're doing well in Ireland. From what Jeremy tells me, you deserved better than what Sarah gave you. She's getting what she deserves now. Best regards, Richard Chen. I read the email 3 times. Then I wrote back, Mr. Chen, thank you doesn't seem adequate, but thank you. Please tell Jeremy I said hello and that the debugging lessons go both ways. Sometimes the best code is the code that executes perfectly when you least expect it. I owe you a pint if you're ever in Dublin. Best, Daniel. Over the next few days, I watched from across the Atlantic as Sarah's life imploded in real time. The wedding video went viral, shared across Reddit, Twitter, Facebook. Local Portland news picked it up as a human interest story, though they blurred faces and changed names. Sarah's company put her on administrative leave pending an investigation into whether she had violated their code of conduct by having an affair with Marcus, who was technically her supervisor. Marcus, according to mutual friends who still had me on social media through alternate accounts, had indeed filed for an annulment. His lawyer was arguing fraud and misrepresentation. The marriage had lasted less than a day. Sarah's parents, who'd paid for a significant portion of the wedding, were demanding she reimburse them. Her sister blocked her on all platforms. Friends took sides, and surprisingly few took hers. She called me one more time, about a week after the wedding. I was in a different pub this time, trying shepherd's pie for the first time. I lost everything, she said quietly when I answered. No anger this time, just defeat. Yes, I agreed. My job, Marcus, my family. Everyone thinks I'm a monster. Are you? I asked. Am I what? A monster? Because from where I'm sitting, you made a series of deliberate choices that hurt people, me included. That's not monstrous. That's just selfish. Monsters don't have a choice. You did. I don't know why I'm even calling you. Because I'm the only person who answers. Because everyone else has figured out what I should have figured out years ago, that you're not someone worth keeping around. That's cruel, Daniel. No, Sarah, that's honest. There's a difference. You keep confusing the two. She was quiet for a long moment. Did you know about the investigator? No. That was a gift from the universe, or karma. Take your pick. Do you hate me? I thought about that. Really thought about it. No, I said finally. I don't hate you. I don't really feel anything about you anymore. You're just a person I used to know who made bad choices. You're a lesson learned, a reminder to pay attention to red flags. But hate? That would require me to still care. She hung up without saying goodbye. I finished my shepherd's pie and walked back to my apartment through Dublin's rainy streets. My phone buzzed with a text from Aoife, the woman I'd made up to irritate Sarah. Except Aoife was real now. I'd met her 2 days after that phone call, actually at a bookstore just like I'd said. We'd struck up a conversation about Irish literature, got coffee, and had been texting ever since. We had a date planned for the weekend. Sometimes lies become truth if you wait long enough. I never heard from Sarah again after that final call. Through the grapevine, I learned she moved back in with her parents, lost her job officially. Marcus's annulment went through. The wedding venue sued her for damages after the chaos led to property destruction, some guests having thrown things during the reveal.
She tried to scrub her social media presence, but the internet is forever. The video of Richard Chen's speech had been downloaded and re-uploaded dozens of times. She became a cautionary tale,
A meme, a story people told at parties about karma and consequences. 6 months later, I was sitting in that same Dublin pub where I'd gotten her first panicked call. Aoife was with me this time, laughing at something the bartender said. My life had continued. Gotten better, actually. The new job was going well. I was learning to appreciate Guinness properly. I'd made friends. Started feeling like myself again. My phone buzzed. A message from Jeremy, Richard Chen's grandson. Hey Daniel, thought you'd want to know. Sarah tried to friend request me on LinkedIn yesterday. I declined. Also, Grandpa says hi and that you still owe him that pint. I smiled and typed back. Tell your grandpa the pint is waiting whenever he visits. And thanks for declining that request. Some connections aren't worth making. Aoife looked over. Everything okay? Yeah, I said, putting my phone away. Everything's perfect. And it was. Not because Sarah's life had fallen apart. Not because her wedding had become a disaster. Not because she'd lost her job and her husband and her reputation, but because I'd realized something important. The best revenge isn't elaborate plots or schemes. It's not even schadenfreude at someone else's downfall. The best revenge is building a better life than the one they tried to give you. Sarah had given me betrayal, lies, and a broken marriage. In return, I'd given myself Dublin, new beginnings, and the freedom to find something real. She'd called that night looking for me to fix her mess, the way I probably fixed 100 small problems during our marriage, without her noticing or caring. But I was done fixing things for Sarah. I was too busy building things for myself. And as I sat there in that pub with Aoife's hand in mine and rain streaking down the windows outside, I realized something else. I'd already won. Not because Sarah lost, but because I'd found something she never could. Peace. The kind that comes from knowing you're exactly where you're supposed to be, with exactly who you're supposed to be with, living exactly the life you're meant to live. Sarah could keep her drama and her chaos and her pattern of self-destruction. I'd take my quiet Dublin evenings and my honest relationship and my fresh start. Any day of the week. So that's my story. Sarah wanted me to fix her mess, but I was too busy fixing myself. Sometimes the best revenge is just living well while they're still figuring out how to be decent human beings. Now I want to hear from you. Drop a comment and let me know where you're watching this from. Are you Team Daniel, or do you think I should have handled things differently? I'm curious to know if karma hits the same way in your part of the world as it does in mine. Whether you're watching from Texas, Toronto, Tokyo, or anywhere in between, let me know you're out there. It's wild to think this story is reaching people across the globe, and honestly, your comments are what makes sharing this worth it. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the story, subscribe if you want more tales of karma doing its thing, and share this with someone who needs to hear that it gets better after betrayal. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes the trash takes itself out. You just have to be patient enough to watch it happen.